I tell you what we're going to have to do. Well, Jazz Odyssey.
We're not about to do a free-form jazz exploration in front of Festival Craven.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, out in an American game land, this is our very first unscripted episode, and we're not sure how it's going to go, but it's going to go. We want to talk about a couple days we just spent together in New Jersey, screening our documentary Soccertown, USA, the legendary Soccertown, USA, and we had originally planned to record this when we were together, but then we got a little drunk, and so we punted it.
You did, not me. I was the responsible driver. I got you back down to the path and our daughter Maggie and drove back to my mother's. So, no, that was you, buddy.
He means his daughter with his wife and not our daughter. That's the second time he's done that, and I think the third time we have to have a kid together. But we will get to why I was overserved happily and consensually. And we're also going to talk about a bunch of incredible U.S. soccer people. If we're talking about an American game and the history of the game in the U.S., we were with legends of U.S. soccer history.
Total legends. Tab Ramos, John Harkes, Tony Meola, Bob Bradley. And we're also going to have, a guide to food and beer in the greater Newark area, right? Home to the World Cup, the final and many matches before that. So we're also going to talk about a World Cup Fan Fest, a free one for all you New York, New Jersey fans.
Take that, Johnny. You don't have to pay to have a good time in the United States, all right? So, yeah, this episode's going to do a little bit of U.S. soccer history with some of the legends of the game, a little bit of travel advice and how to enjoy the World Cup if you are in the New York, New Jersey area. And we're going to do something we don't usually do around here, give you a spicy hot take and tell you what's wrong with the U.S. men's national team. And you know how we always say that the U.S. soccer story mirrors, for better or worse, the larger American story? Well, there's your hint. It's the Freeform Jazz Odyssey. We promise it's not going to be too long. We're going to keep it tight. We're going to keep it on point because
this is an American game.
All right, so Tom, tell the good people why we were both in New Jersey, the greatest country in the world, last week.
Yeah, thank you for that introduction to the great state of New Jersey, the great country of New Jersey. We were there as part of pre-World Cup festivities, sponsored by the Bank of America in this case. They've been sponsoring events all around the state, and Tab Ramos is one of their ambassadors, that legendary U.S. World Cup star, first player ever signed by Major League Soccer, St. Benedict's Prep's own Tab Ramos, live from New Jersey. So we joined Tab and his fellow sons of Carney, Tony Meola, and John Harkes for a screening of Soccertown, USA. It was at this wonderful theater in the shadow of the George Washington Bridge. They screened the film, and then there was a Q&A with the three legends and then the two of us.
And it was run by Alberto Garofalo, who's the president of Bank of America New Jersey, who is a big soccer guy, and so that helped. But this whole thing came together because B of A was talking to Tab about some pre-World Cup stuff, and the documentary that we made about Carney, about Tab and John and Tony, is something that those guys really liked, and they felt like it really did authentically capture how they grew up. And so Tab said, look, if you want to tell a story, just screen the movie.
Before we got to that forum, we had a great day in New Jersey, a great soccer day, you could say. We started at Sahina Cafe in the Ironbound District in Newark, right outside Newark Penn Station. We're hosted there by Gabriel Ribeiro and Kreshnik Berisha. They were literally, as we were having our coffee, planning a fan fest across the street for the World Cup weeks at the old Iberia restaurant lot. I've been there many times pre-gaming for Red Bull New York. It's right across the Passaic River and the Jackson Street Bridge from Red Bull Arena. So it's real soccer soil, and they're going to put on a really good fan festival this summer. It's a soccer neighborhood, right? It's Newark's melting pot, the equivalent of New York City's Lower East Side. And immigrant group after immigrant group would come through there. And in the 1920s, 1930s, importantly, you get the first kind of Portuguese and Spanish immigrants to Newark. They are soccer loving. So they join the Irish, the Germans, the Jewish population in that neighborhood. And there are soccer teams from the early 1900s onward. So it's not just across the river in Kearny and Harrison. You have clubs, you have teams, leagues in Newark. And one of the local Newarkers who joined us, Leroy Cicada, I know him from St. Benedict's Prep. I taught him. I coached him. He is our son's agent. That's Susie and me. He's Tommy's agent who's playing out at Oakland Roots. And he knows everybody in the Ironbound. So he introduced us to the folks at Sihana and then brought us across the river into Harrison to a place called Keepers. And Jameson RV was there, and I think Kirk had a little man crush on him.
He was a very cool guy, former DJ who now runs Keepers right literally across the street from Sports Illustrated Arena, I guess it's called. I love that Sports Illustrated is now branding everything, even though it doesn't exist anymore. Just a ghost kitchen of a stadium. But Michael Bradley's running the show there, so we love it. So we do our little tour of Newark. We get the advance word on the Fan Fest. We talk to Jameson over at Keepers, and then it's out to Fort Lee, actually. Brief stop at the Soccer Post in Kearny for our friend Michael Mara, who had made some nice An American Game gear for us.
We got denim kits, the ones released by Adidas, right? It doesn't have the U.S. badge on it, but it has an American Game logo on it. They are sweet. Mint, drip, whatever the kids are saying these days.
And it's not for sale because we're not in the making money business. Again, the business model of Soccertown Media and An American Game is defiantly, we're doing it for free, whether we want to or not. So you can't buy that shirt, but we have them and they're pretty cool. Anyway, we head up to Fort Lee to the really incredible Barrymore Film Center. And then we're hanging out with Tab Ramos and Tony Meola and John Harkes. And I got to say, I was a good soccer player. Tom was a really good soccer player. These were the guys who we were watching on TV. Okay. They were the top of the game for us as our contemporaries when we were growing up. And so to hang out with them, to share the stage with them after the screening, and to be able to, compliment them on their work and also have them compliment us on ours just was very special for us.
And if there is any listener out there who hasn't seen it, a quick recap, right? It's four main characters, right? It's Tab, Tony, and John, and the town of Kearny. All four characters lead those guys to the World Cup, to 2 World Cups, in fact, together. So it's about this town, that basically encapsulates all this U.S. soccer history in one place.
The immigrants coming over with their dreams and bringing the game with them, and the ups and downs and rhythms of industry and the game going dark and then coming back again. All that was in the movie. And so we originally released the movie in 2019. We premiered at the Kicking and Screening Festival in New York, run by Greg Lawless and Rachel Marcus. It's a fantastic soccer film festival. We won the Audience Award. We had plans to take the movie around and go to other festivals in 2020, get distribution. And then, as we vaguely remember, everything shut down. All the festivals are closed. We're shut in. Soccer leagues are canceled. Everyone's sitting at home watching cornhole on ESPN and wiping down our counters every time we get groceries. And Tom and I were like, look, we have no idea if, when we're ever going to get to show this thing out in public, and we're climbing the walls, and so are all of our soccer friends. Let's just put the thing on YouTube and make it a gift to the soccer community. And people liked it. And now it's been seen like 125,000 times, and we've done very little to promote it, but it lives on YouTube, and we'll have a link to it if you want to see it.
The film starts with a coming-of-age story, right? These guys are coming, they're playing pickup soccer, they're playing for an organized youth club, they get into the high school where soccer is the big sport, and then they have to make that big leap to professionalism. And the NASL has just shut down. So a bunch of these college guys, Tab's at NC State, Tony and John are at the University of Virginia, they go from there basically to a World Cup in 1990, having qualified in 1989 at Trinidad and Tobago. So they're at the World Cup, and people look at them, this is a joke. These are a bunch of college kids. They don't even deserve to be on the same field with Italy or, Czech Republic or Czechoslovakia at that time, excuse me. But then that sets the stage for 1994, the last time we hosted a home World Cup. And, the kind of heartbeat of the film is this game that we open up with and then we build back to that match against Colombia.
And again, these guys, John, Tab, and Tony, had grown up playing pickup soccer together. Winner stays on. They had a chip on their shoulder. They always wanted to win, and they wanted to earn some respect. And against Colombia, they got both. They managed to beat Colombia in a very famous game, and then that got them the right to play Brazil. And if you go back and watch that Brazil game again, the United States was kind of bossing Brazil, the great, beautiful Brazil, to the point that Leonardo threw one of the most vicious elbows that has ever been thrown in a World Cup and fractured Tab Ramos' skull. The U.S. lost that game, but the way they had played in that World Cup helped capture the attention of the country. It helped build MLS, and it helped make soccer what it is in the U.S. today.
Yeah, all three of the guys on the panel were like, that's the legacy, right? The respect in a World Cup, but then MLS, Major League Soccer comes along. Tab is the first player signed, comes to New York, New Jersey. Tony's in goal for the Metro Stars. John is the leader, of the DC United, first championship team. So these guys are the building blocks of MLS. And that has been the longest running professional league in the history of U.S. soccer.
So we just spent a few days reliving that history, right? The importance of the journey of those guys, the grit, the chip on the shoulder. They were growing up in a town where unemployment was high. There was, drug use and drug distribution in the Newark area was rampant, and soccer was the way out. And not everyone got out. These guys did. And so we just spent a few days reliving that history and kind of celebrating it with the actual guys, which was fun for us as soccer guys, fun for us as documentarians. But a month from the start of this World Cup, decades on from those guys, it also got us thinking about the current national team that doesn't seem to be capturing the imagination of the U.S., despite that big platform that they've been given, that doesn't seem to be going into this tournament with momentum. And we were wondering, what's the difference?
One of the biggest differences is the ticket prices. I love primary documents on an American game, and I found one, right? From Giant Stadium, the three categories, $30, $60, and $90. I went to every game at Giant Stadium in 1994. And just wonderful. It was a great festival of soccer. You just felt you were really part of something. And obviously now, as a historian looking back on it, it played a massive role. So how many people like me and others, are going to be left out because they can't get access to tickets because you just can't get them, or they're too darn expensive. So this is the obvious, right? We're standing with those three guys talking about that, and the Tim Weah incident comes up where he's criticized by Mauricio Pochettino for saying the obvious, that regular folks aren't going to be able to go to the games.
Pochettino went on an interview to criticize Weah and say the players must only talk about the game. The tickets are not their concern. He was sitting in a FIFA office when he made that point. And I think, first of all, if you have a problem with Tim Weah saying it, you talk to him in private. You don't put him on blast publicly unless you were intentionally making a point. that if you speak out in any way about anything, you could jeopardize your spot on the team. And so for a team that should represent the fans, and that's all Tim Weah was doing. He was saying regular fans are not going to be able to afford these tickets. For a team that should represent the fans, it's a national team, represent your nation. These guys seem to be engineered to be neutral. Don't want to piss off FIFA, don't want to piss off Trump. Remember when Trump was explicitly rooting against the women's national team because he didn't like Megan Rapinoe? Or just a few months ago when Olympic skier Hunter Hess said, just because I'm wearing the flag doesn't mean I represent everything that's going on in the U.S. I just kind of want to do it for my friends and my family and all the things that I believe are good about the U.S. That's a pretty benign statement, right? Trump called him a loser.
In the film, John Harkes says the exact same thing, right? It's for our families, it's for our friends, it's for our hometown, right? And then, you add on the badge that you have on, right? I mean, we are patriots, right? We want to see this national team, in red, white, and blue, go out and just do wonderful things.
It's not just about political platforms here. We could make it very easy for the U.S. men's national team. What are our iconic national pride sports moments? Tom, what do you think? What pops to mind?
I mean, as a sports historian, the first one is Jesse Owens in the 1936 Hitler Olympics, right? Where he just kicks Nazi butt.
Sure. Then 1980 ice hockey, right? Olympic hockey, that's another big one. National pride, whether you cared about hockey or not, you were into that team.
And then let's add some soccer ones, right? The 1999 women's national team winning a home World Cup. I went to several matches there, and it was just this, wonderful tournament that ends in your great state of California.
So what do all those things have in common? Every single one was U.S. athletes proving their worth to the world, right? Proving that Americans, all Americans, deserved respect. Those earlier U.S. men's teams that the Carney guys were on were doing the same. They were playing for something. They wanted to earn respect.
And something that's different now, and I think it's a good thing, but there comes some corollaries to it. The current team plays in Italy, plays in Scotland, plays in England, plays in Holland, Spain. They play like they already have the respect of the world, right? There's not that chip. We've looked at how many friendlies and qualifiers, have ended with the conversation being about why can't they play like the old guys did for 90 minutes of just determination and grit and fight.
Yeah, it's crazy. They're playing Belgium. Yeah. First of all, they can't fill the Mercedes Stadium in Atlanta because prices were too high. And they're also, who wants to go watch a national team where after those friendlies, the conversation was, yeah, they had a great 30 minutes and then they looked flat. So again, this is like basic stuff that older U.S. teams never would have been caught on. At the very least, our teams, and even when it was Landon Donovan and Clint Dempsey and very talented teams, it was still, we have a chip on our shoulder and we're going to outwork you and we're going to earn your respect.
I'm going to say the S word. We're talking to these guys and they didn't say it, but I can read between the lines and Kirk can read between the lines. This current team is soft.
Yeah.
That's difficult to say, having watched decades of U.S. national teams, both men's and women. We have not been soft. We might have been even overly hard, less technical, but we brought the other stuff, that American stuff, that fight, that competitive spirit, that never say die attitude. I want to see that plus all this European experience.
Yeah, that's the patriotism we're looking for.
Something.
So look, U.S. national team, you don't have to talk about the war in Iran. You don't have to talk about ice-run concentration camps in Louisiana warehouses. You don't have to talk about the Epstein files. That's fine. You're soccer players. That does not have to be your lane, although you are also citizens with a platform and, technically you're free to say what you want. But if you're not going to represent aspirational American values with your words, can you at least do it with your actions? Real simple. Can you play hard for 90 minutes? Can you act like these games matter? Like you will be devastated if you don't come away with a result? Like you still are trying to earn the world's respect?
Well said. Well said. And that is rant over. We shared some of this with Bob Bradley. We had coffee with him the next day. Bob's looking great. He's living near the new Red Bull training facility. So I'm sure he checks in on his son. Maybe looks over his shoulder. We don't know. But it was great to see him and to hear some of his great stories from national teams, both here in the U.S. and in Egypt.
He's such a student and teacher of the game. It was great to see him. I think that Tom and I will always feel like kids with him.
Yeah, like we're 17, 18 again on our best behavior.
And we both kind of,
middle-aged men. Yeah,
we still want his approval and something like that. But it also, and I've told him this before, but when he was coaching us in college, Michael was 3 years old and running around with a full head of blonde hair. And I think watching Michael grow up over the years has been one of the ways I have felt my age from, now he's on the national team. Now he's playing in Roma. Now he's got kids. Now he's a grown man. And it's something that Bob said a lot of his old players tell him, is that we may not feel like we're getting older, and then we see Michael and we go, oh, damn, we are.
But Michael's in a good situation, right? He's in that Red Bull system, right? He's got Julian de Guzman, great international player for Canada. Yeah, as a sporting director, he got Jurgen Klopp above that. So he's in with some good soccer people. So we're really excited to see, his growth. And I'll say it here, another hot take. He will be the manager of the U.S. national team at some point, probably sooner than
maybe
you
in
think.
6 months. But then after catching up with Bob, he walked us across the street to the Veritage Microbrewery in Bloomfield, New Jersey, because we had to go to the canning of their brand new Soccertown lager.
Oh, yeah. Most exciting. I think it's a career highlight for both of us. But there's this brew pub and our own beer is being bottled or canned. And
Tom and I, Laverne and Shirley, watching the line of cans go by. Bob,
Shamil Shamazel.
Bob, so patient, didn't drink with us, smiled, happy for us, went on his way. And then we were drinking cans straight off the line with Mark Costa and his team. The beer's really good, went down smooth.
Yeah, American lager, right? I mean, I thought they were just slapping a label on, a beer that already existed. No, Mark watched the film 5 times. He's a soccer guy. He's going to be the new coach at Nutley High School. And he thinks about it, like what ingredients, what style, what would a soccer guy in Kearney be drinking? And it's a smooth lager that has a little edge to it. So a little grit. I think before I head back to London, I need to go back in there and have them pour a pint for me off the tap.
And look, just to make it clear, they are not sponsoring this. We continue to make no money from this. But honestly, Mark was awesome. Veritage was great. Great place to go watch a game, have a pint, and a lot of great places to hang out in that area. And we got to see a bunch of them. The Barrymore Film Center, honestly, is an amazing cultural spot. If you're in the New York, New Jersey area next month, get yourself to the Ironbound in Newark, stroll around amazing Portuguese restaurants, Brazilian restaurants, Italian restaurants. I mean, it's like the melting pot is there, but also there's going to be an amazing free fan fest. We've done the scouting. That's what we can tell you. And because there's no commercial, that's all we got. We will be back with a scripted and tighter episode soon. That one will be a little preview of Seattle and a little recap of our Seattle Soccertown episode from last fall with some new information and news and takes on how Seattle's preparing for the World Cup.
We'll see you then on An American Game.